Welcome to leadership lesson number 4 from Nehemiah. Leadership lesson number 4. We'll call this Overcoming Opposition. If you would this week read chapters 4 through 7. Nehemiah encountered a lot of resistance and competition during these chapters 4 through 7 of Nehemiah. Here is our leadership principle for today. God's mission always faces resistance, but leaders persevere. God's mission always faces resistance, but leaders persevere. There's always going to be external opposition, ridicule, threats, and internal struggles. Fear, your team may feel some fear and may be discouraged at times. Nehemiah balanced prayer with practical defense, a weapon in one hand and a tool in another. Opposition is really confirmation of significance. If you weren't doing something for God, you probably would not have as much opposition as you have. So be encouraged. Strategy and prayer go hand in hand, and leaders keep people focused despite distractions. God's mission always faces resistance, but leaders persevere. So here's a few teaching notes from these few chapters in Nehemiah, starting with Nehemiah 4:9. It picks back up, and they prayed and posted guard to meet the enemy's threat. The people began to murmur, however. They were tired, they got weary, and they became afraid of dying. How many of us have gone through that in our lives and in our businesses, in our ministries? Nehemiah then posted more on guard and kept preaching to them to not be afraid because the Lord is great and awesome. The Lord is with us, He's always with us. And so they went back to work. Half of them worked, and half of them were equipped with spears, shields, bows, and armor. We see in chapter 5 that the people actually began to murmur again in the first 5 verses, and they were discouraged again. Nehemiah was angry and defended the people with the nobles and the officials, and they listened to him. He fought back for his people. It's very important as leaders that we fight for our people. You know, the old saying goes, if you can't beat them, join them. Or in this case, in chapter 6, verses 1 and 2, if you can't beat them, trick them. So they tried to trick Nehemiah and his crew. The walls were built, and only the doors and the gates were left to set. So here comes the enemy again. Nehemiah replied to their message to meet. They wanted to try to meet with him, but they were really just trying to trick him. He replied with this question: why should I stop the work and leave it and go down to meet with you? They asked him 4 times, and 4 times he responded with the same question. The 5th time, Sanballat sent his aide with a message, and Nehemiah told him it wasn't true and he was making it up in his head. They even hired a false prophet, get this, in chapter 6, verses 10 through 14, to try to intimidate him. But the wall was built anyway. And all this time, Nehemiah was praying. I want you to identify, here's your challenge, your homework, if you will, current distractions or opposition in your leadership journey. Current. Don't go back to the past now. Think of what you have going on right now and do a distraction inventory. And I always want you to share these thoughts with someone you can trust. Make a distraction inventory and then figure out ways to overcome those distractions. Be blessed.